Welcome, everybody, to the Nerd Cave News, the one-stop shop to all your video game news needs. I'm one of your hosts, Zach Dykes, joined along with the brilliant but amnesiac scientist who specialized in cryogenics but mysteriously disappeared when the Walt Disney head rumors began. He doesn't remember a thing. It's Dr. Deja Vu.
Ooh, that's very clever wordplay. Definitely, like that goes to the top 5 automatically just based on clever wordplay for sure.
Amy did a good job on that one.
Lovely name.
Amy did a good one on that one.
Yeah. Deja, and you know it's very great because it's like, oh, the Disney head scandal. Oh, and they just Men in Black me and made me forget. So that is very lovely.
Well, Dr. Deja Vu, we hope that you can remember enough for our discussion today. Guys, you can support us by going over to audibletrial.com/nerdcave and getting your 30-day free trial of audible.com. If you like books, if you like magazines, if you like podcasts, they got them all over at audible.com. It's an amazing service. I've been using it for years. A ton of my Star Wars books have been read to me by the docile tones of so many good narrators. So go check it out. Get your 30-day free trial of Audible by going to audibletrial.com/nerdcave. Now, Derek, where can they go to become something more?
Something more? Well, they could probably go to what is it called in Arrow? Purgatory. I'm just kidding. To become the part of the ship, part of the exclusive crew over on patreon.com/nerdcave, just like our wonderful crew members Brandon Hicks, Richard Newell, Daniel Sanford, Rushing Waters Yoga, the conductor Marilyn James, and Brittany the Granny B Harrison.
Guys, you can watch us and you can find us on a variety of platforms such as Twitch, YouTube, and the TikTok. You can watch us on TikTok for the bite-sized nuggets. You can watch us on Twitch each and every week at 9 p.m. Thursday Central Standard Time, or you can go over to YouTube.
For the time being, anyway.
For the time being. That's the time.
Until they change my schedule again.
Derek, I'm talking. My God, mute him.
I'm sorry.
Mute Kevin. Mute Derek. Mute Derek. Do it. Mutiny here. It's like having Brandon Hicks running the board over here. Guys, you can go over to youtube.com/nerdcave network and watch all of the awesome content that we put over there. If you didn't watch it live, you can check it out there. Guys, we've got an awesome game club. Derek, what is the game that we're watching? We're watching and playing right now.
Watching. You know, now that someone has finally beaten August's game club Tomb Raider, we are now playing Rise of the Tomb Raider, which is the sequel to it. So it was supposed to be September, but because of things, Zach needed to catch up. So we gave him an extra month, people. So we're giving him all through the October, and me, because I'm only still halfway through it, Rise of the Tomb Raider to play.
Yep, and I am stoked to be able to jump into it. I finished the first one Sunday, and I started the second one, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and I've been really enjoying it. Just the seeing the progression that they have put into the game, where, you know, they had so many great core things and then they just expounded upon that. So I'm really, really enjoying Rise of the Tomb Raider, and I can't wait to go through it. The whole Trinity and Prophet thing is really interesting, like the story and the engine and all that. So I'm loving it. So if y'all want to join us on our adventure, come and join us. Game Club.
Because I'm sure they've already beaten it, but you know, I know Dan's probably was streaming it. No, Brandon was probably streaming it. So we have other people.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have time for it, or if you don't have the money to fork over for it, that's fine. You can still join our awesome crewmates who are streaming it and get their playthroughs.
Yep, you definitely can. So come be a part of the game club going on right now. Join us on Discord to discuss it. After we finish this one, Derek, I'm calling it right now. We're going to do a discussion. We're going to all get together on Discord. We're actually going to discuss this one and the last 2 games that we've been playing. Just kind of catch up everybody and us have some fun. And your contract, you're in your contract, you're obligated to do this. So.
Oh, no. I mean, I was going to do it regardless if I was contracted or not. I'm going to be fair with you.
Guys, we've got an awesome, awesome show for you. And I hope that you are ready to go. Up first in our Xbox news this week in our gaming discussion, Halo Infinite accessibility features have been detailed.
That's been a hot topic for the last year or so. I know. I want to say any, but not as select variety of accessibility options. Halo's coming out the gate being like, don't worry, we got y'all. Alongside Xbox reiterating its comments to make games more accessible for the estimated more than 400 million gamers with disabilities across the globe, 343 Industries has given a sneak peek at some of the accessibility features coming to Halo Infinite. These updates and many more were part of Microsoft's Xbox Accessibility Showcase, and 343 Industries' Paige Johnson stopped by to share some of the accessible and customizable features that will be part of Halo Infinite when it releases on December 8th. The team's goal was to make the newest journey into the Halo universe more accessible to as many gamers as possible. This includes veterans of the series and those who, quote, struggled to play due to barriers that hadn't previously been accounted for. Some of the new features, as detailed by 343 Industries, include, for subtitles, you can adjust the font size, adjust the background opacity, enable color coding of dialogue per speaker, choose whether you'd like subtitles for all dialogue or just dialogue related to the narrative and campaign, customize menu and gameplay font size, menu narration and adjustable narration speed for those who commonly utilize screen readers, a new mode called linear navigation that lets users navigate through the UI without the need to visually see how controls are positioned on screen to access them, option of changing the friendly and enemy colors to include more options than just red versus blue, more UI settings such as HUD and reticle opacity to make it easier to identify information in the HUD, text-to-speech and speech-to-text options for players that want to participate in voice chat and either need to send synthesized voice or receive voice chat as synthesized text. New customizations for players to control their sound experience with different volume sliders for a variety of sounds in the game. Customizability for both controllers and keyboard and mouse to rebind keys, adjust sensitivity, and change to taps and toggles versus holds. A new movement-assisted steering feature which lets you use additional controls to help steer wheeled vehicles rather than just the classic look-to-steer mechanic. And 343 also strongly believes that, quote, representation in gaming matters. To live up to that mantra, it has worked with such organizations as Warfighter Engaged to offer new prosthetic options for gamers and customize their Spartans. According to 343, accessibility is a journey, and it promises to continue to update Halo Infinite in ways that empower as many people as possible to battle alongside the Master Chief. So, pretty much, that's just a sneak peek. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's going to be more options at launch, or, I don't know if they'll talk about it before launch, but, it'll be interesting to see how much more they add. But just seeing this, it's the typical side, subtitles, the font, the color, about who's speaking, and of course, the pace. I like the thing that stuck out to me was like, because, there's a lot of vehicle driving, especially like the flight vehicles. The assisted steering feature, rather than the look-to-steer mechanic, I think was the biggest thing that stuck out to me as something different for them to do.
Yeah, definitely. And like the option, let me scroll back up to it, that stuck out the most to me was enable color coding for dialogue per speaker, like being able to see, okay, this is a different, to just help differentiating, and then choose whether you like subtitles for all dialogue or just dialogue related to the narrative in the campaign. Like instead of just getting everything, random characters, whatever, you're getting only the specific things that matter, which I love. I love that so much.
Right. And because, they enable the color coding, the first one that did that, to my knowledge, was Last of Us Part 2. And if you're hard of hearing, or if you're deaf, and you just see dialogue, you don't know who's saying it, so the color coding thing is like to say who it goes with, which character is nice too.
Yeah, I love it, and I'm glad to see more of it, and that they're even bringing it into the multiplayer, that you'll have Spartans that will have prosthetics and all of that. So like that's really cool. I love to see it, and yeah, Halo Infinite doing good, better than Deathloop.
Yeah,
better than Deathloop.
The only knock against Deathloop.
Moving on, guys. Grounded, Obsidian gets back to its roots with hot and hazy summer update.
So it's no secret that Grounded, Obsidian's backyard survival game, is very different from anything the prolific RPG developer has made before. Something the developers themselves has poked fun at in the past, but while the microscopic multiplayer adventure has seen success in its own right, even while still in preview, the upcoming Hot and Hazy update seems poised to give many fans more of what they might expect from Obsidian. Lots of stats, with everything from character sets that let you upgrade your avatar's abilities, to weapon upgrades that increase deadliness, to new armor classes with gameplay consequences. Grounded will get a whole lot nerdier and RPG-like later this month. One of the biggest additions Hot and Hazy adds is a collectible called Milk Molars, which lets you upgrade stats like max health, max stamina, how quickly your character gets thirsty or hungry, and how many mutations you can equip at once. Going forward, not every adventure will be the same, with players being able to upgrade their avatars in different ways by collecting and spending this new currency. Even more interesting, you'll be able to buy group upgrades as well, which give a boost to the entire party. Similarly, weapon upgrades will give you a chance to enhance your weapon with increased damage and durability, and even apply status effects. For example, if you collect mint candies and apply them to your weapon, it'll give it the fresh status effect that bestows it with unique properties. Armor has also been given an RPG-like rework, and now all armor will be classified as light, medium, or heavy, each of which has trade-offs between stamina and protection, as a million other RPGs have taught you. Wearing little armor gives you less protection in a fight, but allows you to regenerate stamina faster, while heavy armor is the opposite. Yet another way for players to define their own playstyles and occupy different roles within a party of players. Of course, there's no point in having all these new tools if you don't have some new dangers to confront them with. And the Hot and Hazy update adds 4 new environments, including the new Sandbox Desert biome and an upgrade to an existing one, the Haze. The Sandbox Desert is a giant sandbox in the background where exposure to direct sunlight applies a new sizzling effect on you that begins to kill you over time, forcing you to dash between sources of shade before you get burned to a crisp. Out in the desert, you'll find new enemies to fight, buried treasure to uncover, and other secrets that might make the scorching trek worth your time. On the other hand, there's the Haze, which has been revamped to be more than just a bleak patch of poisonous smog. Now you'll find creepy mushrooms that explode, new enemies, and even a secret lab to be explored and plundered. But traversing this highly toxic area will mean gearing up with suitable equipment, like a gas mask, to make the hostile zone habitable. Yep. In our early access review, okay, that's the end of it. But yeah, that's, and it kind of goes with it, it's one of those, when you think about it, it's like you can't fault them for not having it in there to begin with, but it's one of those things where it just feels right to add, because especially with Obsidian's background, like they said, in RPGs. So adding RPG mechanics, the biome and the haze ability, like those are the biggest draws to me, honestly. Like adding RPGs with like the different armors and whatnot, like that's cool. But like having the desert biome and then the haze with the deadly mushrooms is definitely fun. Because when they added, because they keep adding it, because like they said, it's still in preview. The biggest update for me that they added was last year with the koi pond, and there was the big koi fish that you had to avoid and not get eaten by.
Yeah, and like this game, when it first, like, they put it out in beta or whatever, I was like, okay, it's an interesting concept. I don't know how much they're going to support this. And now they've continually been supporting it. They've been continually, putting more and more into it, which I'm glad. I'm glad to see, that they're not just like, okay, we put it out and now it's dead. It's because that's been a lot of issues for a lot of games. Like they just get out and then they die. They just eventually die. Yeah. And I feel like Microsoft is doing a better job of not letting that happen.
Yeah. So yeah, and I'll say, and I think too, like, I know it was a multi-plat game when it first came out, but when they first started this preview program, they did it with We Happy Few, which became a big hit after launch, and Xbox ended up buying not Obsidian, oh, the pretty much the studio behind We Happy Few. But I know We Happy Few had to go through a lot of changes.
Oh yeah,
because
definitely.
when it hit its preview program, it was not what it was too hardcore on the survival mechanics, and they had to change it. But when they worked it out, put the game out in full launch, and it was a hit.
Yeah, and there wasn't a lot to We Happy Few originally. Like what?
Yeah, exactly. Like it was like bare bones. It's like, all right, you go investigate these houses. Oh, by the way, you're hungry and you're thirsty. Make sure you find resources for that. Oh, you need to defend yourself. You need a weapon. Oh, it breaks. It was like one thing after another that wasn't, done well.
Yeah, and
Compulsion Games is the studio, by the way. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest things is like, you can make a game, like it can start out a little rough, but it can become something even better. Yeah. Murdoch doesn't like We Happy Few.
But and it's a different thing, like going back to the preview thing, like with Obsidian, their pedigree and the RPGs they've done, like they did Fallout New Vegas, which is arguably, if you ask, depending on who you ask, is one of the best Fallout games they've done. And they've done Outer Worlds, which was very well received. So they've had a pedigree, so I know they wouldn't have gone to release the game this way if they weren't sure that they could make it enjoyable for people to come back to.
Oh yeah, and Outer Worlds, I loved that game. Like I want to go back and play more of it because it was such a fun world. So I'm glad that we're getting to see more and more games like that. It's not on the beaten path. Essentially, it's a little bit off of the beaten path and everything. But speaking of off the beaten path, this one's a little fun one here. Adidas reveals new Xbox themed sneakers in honor of the 20th anniversary of Xbox, and they put a little trailer out. So let's take a look, Derek, at these sneakers. So, Derek, what do you think about that?
It's nice, like that. It's fresh, like they wanted to keep with the theme and the Xbox screen, so it's nice. Like it's a little bit, the green is a little bit like too tinted, like or burnt for me to want to invest in it. Because I like green, it's one of my favorite colors. But I would have gone with more of the darker green. But
yeah,
it'll definitely catch the eye of a lot of fans. So
yeah, and I think it's the little things like that we wouldn't necessarily see maybe like Sony do, but we're seeing
yeah, because the only way they get close enough is when like when 2K comes out. They didn't do it this year, but the basketball player Paul George, he does like PlayStation themed sneakers. Yep. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, which I've always wanted those sneakers. So guys, let us know, would you get the Xbox sneakers, the special edition ones? Murdoch says I might wear them if they came in a different color. Well, that's the only problem is it ain't coming in a different color. Speaking of coming in a different color, Ghost Recon, we got some Ghost Recon news. Ghost Recon Breakpoint Operation Motherland update has been revealed, and I wish I could like this game. I wish I could, but
I'm sure Ubisoft wish they could like this game too.
Oh yeah.
That's why they're trying to force it down your throat.
Definitely. So let's take a look at the trailer for Ghost Recon Breakpoint Motherland. Okay, that was
It's a teaser more than anything, but it, you know, I do wonder if this is going to be like, I know it's an update, but I wonder if it's going to add like a new area on the Aroa map, or if it's going to be, I don't want to say new expansion because they would have said it otherwise,
yeah.
and they would have done a bigger trailer than just a teaser. But I want to know how big of a game event's going to be, because we in Wildlands we saw a lot of events like with Predator, with Splinter Cell and whatnot, and they were like nice little bite-sized events. So I wonder if it's going to be in the same vein as this.
I don't know. Like, yeah, it is the same island. I'm assuming it's an expansion onto the island. I don't know how you can magically find more of the island. But that's games. But that trailer was underwhelming, to say the least. Very underwhelming.
Much like most of Ubisoft's lineup this year.
Oof,
but
oof. Speaking of Ghost Recon Frontline, a free-to-play battle royale has been announced, and battle royales are going the way of the dinosaur unless you're Call of Duty, Apex, or Fortnite. Like, do you really want to be getting in this space in this time? So I don't know. I don't know.
I know, it's like you talking about being late to the party. You know what I mean? At least Apex came. It was a stealth launch, but at least it came out last year and they hit the ground running.
Yeah. I don't know. So let's take a look at Tom Clancy Ghost Recon Frontline. This is the new battle royale that has been announced. This is likely mature 17. So hide your kids, hide your wife, all that good stuff. Mm.
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 Mm. All right.
Okay. So Derek, thoughts?
So it looks like, of course, like squad up, gear up, or whatnot. It looks like your generic, all the beats that you need for a battle royale, of course. So the questions I have is, I know most battle royales you're going it solo. I know like PUBG you could do as a team, and like with Call of Duty and Fortnite you can do solo, duos, quads, that kind of thing. My thing is like, can you only do squad? Because with Ghost Recon, it's it's all about squadding up. You rarely do solos. Like, can you do solo, or does it have to be with a team? And my other question is, what will make this stand out? What will be this niche to make it stand out with amongst the Apex, amongst the Call of Duty? Because Fortnite, you've got the building. Call of Duty, it's kind of sells itself like it doesn't do anything. Like, I know it has the vehicles, and I know it has like everyone has the wall. Like Apex is sort of like Overwatch with the different character abilities in a battle royale. What will this do to set itself apart and like make it stand out in a somewhat crowded but mainly top heavy battle royale genre?
Apparently reach. Murdoch's point here: airdrop bunkers versus sniper towers. Like, for me, it feels like the game it's too late. You know, it's too late,
100%.
and it feels like it. It feels like it's too late to like actually matter. And you know, I want it to, you know, I want companies to be successful. I want them to do well, but it's like,
Yeah.
if you are just reacting instead of, you know, setting the trends. Entertainment industry is horrible about this, where they're constantly reacting instead of setting the trend. And I feel like Ubisoft has been behind the curve for a long time.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, I'm old enough to remember that, you know, we reported on the fact that in an earnings call, one of the investors ridiculed Yves Guillemot, that is like, why did you put Breakpoint and Division 2 in between a console refresh? You know, because came out the year before the new consoles. Like, why do you do this? Why? And it doesn't sell because people are waiting for the new consoles and not buying the games at the moment. And it's like, woof. You haven't learned your lesson, old man. But
clearly not.
And now this makes you wonder, because, you know, earlier in the year they reported on, like, because, you know, Ubisoft is going more to the free-to-play, still live service model, but they're going more, and this is a free-to-play game. They're also doing a Division game. I forget the name of it right now. Red Front, Stormfront, something like that.
What is that game called?
The Division Homeland.
Yeah, Homeland.
It's Homeland.
Yeah.
Is it going to be a battle royale? Because then you're going to have a crowded space. You're going to have 2 Tom Clancy battle royale games. Like, what's that going to be like? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We haven't seen anything since the rumored announcement, which was just pretty much like a investment call meeting. So how's that going to stand out? What is it going to be like? So if this is their first taste of a free-to-play Ubisoft game, it ain't it, Chief.
No, it definitely ain't it. But, you know, Derek, there are some things that I'm actually excited about. Just like this next topic that we're going to talk about. New Splatoon 3 weapons have been announced, and guys, they look pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. Looking pretty fresh to death, as some would say.
Yeah. So the first one, they talked about 3 the end of last week, and then they announced a couple more earlier this week. So the first is going to be a crab tank, an armored walking tank that allows for added mobility and defense while doling out ink sprays against the opposing team. And of course, you know, Nintendo's description, this is the crab tank. When piloting this multi-leg vehicle, you can attack with a powerful rapid-fire gun and a cannon with a wide blast area. You can also turn into a ball to move around faster than crab walking. This special weapon turns an inkling into a oh, wait, I skipped one. Okay. The next one is the Zipcaster, which turns an inkling into a shadow warrior with tentacles that stretch way out and stick to walls. You can zoom around and cause mad chaos to conceal your identity. When the ink runs out, you'll be returned to where you first transformed. Oh, hold on. Give me 1 second. I gotta refresh my computer.
Okay. While Derek refreshes his computer, I just want to point out this cringy ad. Make grandma proud. It is so bad. Oh my God, it's so bad. Oh, okay. That was just... Let's look at it again. Make oh, that is cringe. That is some cringeness. Oof. Whoever made, and like, I don't know. Let's take a look real quick. I don't have my stuff. Like, this hand over here, why is there like one finger missing, and this finger's like super pointed? Like, I can't zoom in right this second on it. But guys, I'm glad I'm not the only one. That smile, she's like, is this the Joker? Is this the Joker? I think we found the real life Joker. It is an ad for University of Advanced Technology, UAT. Yeah, 2.5 fingers. Yep. I don't know, guys. I have no idea. Why is this on here? Why do you make me cry? Why do you make me cry? I don't know.
All right. I was back.
Okay, you
Back.
you missed the cringy lady.
The cringy grandma ad.
Yeah, the cringy grandma ad. My lord, dude, that was some something.
I bet. So I can only imagine. Like some of their ads are wild. Let me be honest with you.
Okay, let me get you in real quick. Guys, thank
Okay.
y'all for being here. Yikes, she lost a finger in the Great War. Yeah. she definitely had it coming, I guess. I don't know. Okay, so you're there. Let's see. All right, let's boop. There we go. There's Derek's beautiful face. All right, Derek. So we were talking about the Inklings Shadow Warrior. So
Yeah. The ninja warriors, I guess you can say. Going from imposing weaponry to a stealth option, check out the Zipcaster. It's a special weapon that gives your Inkling a ninja-like appearance and abilities. Both special weapons are very different from the arsenal Inklings had in previous Splatoon entries and are sure to shake up whichever turf wars they bring them into. I thought there was a third. I guess there's only two. All right, so we got. So before I get to the next set, what are your thoughts on the two special weapons? Because it seems like they're going to have regular weapons, and then they're going to have these special weapons, kind of like, I don't know if they're going to be drops or like you can pick them up or you can have them in your loadout. But what do the Zipcaster and the Crab Tank do for you?
I think they look pretty cool. Like it brings a different element to the game overall, and I think that with multiplayer games, you're putting out different iterations and everything. Like, I think you need to have some freshness. So, maybe this is like Call of Duty's, kill streaks. Maybe you get enough kill streaks and then it unlocks a tank or the Zipcaster, and like as you do better and better, the more you will get and everything. So I think it's cool. Right. What do you think?
Because I know that stood out. I know the Crab Tank stood out to us when we watched the Direct a couple weeks ago, or last week rather. So I know that. I think you'd be right in the fact of like it'd be cool if they got kill streaks or if they just were like unlocks, like you had to you reach like the halfway point and you're neck and neck, and then this ability token dropped and whoever picked it up got that ability.
Yeah, and
to help turn the tide.
Yeah, and like I think having like kill streaks and all of that would be pretty dope. I think the next article has the third weapon you were talking about.
Right. Or it has two more weapons in this one. Oh yeah, no, it has three. Okay, this is the one with three. Okay. So they took to Twitter today with screenshots and descriptions of each. The first showcased is the Killer Whale 5.1. I see what you did there. 5.1 surround sound with a modified version of the Killer Whale weapon.
Well, WAIL, not like
exactly
like you're wailing.
Whale on the mic.
Yeah.
As the name indicates, the weapon is a riff on the 5.1 surround sound setup, which traditionally sees 5 standard speakers and 1 subwoofer speaker create sound bubbles, as it were. In Splatoon 3, though, the character will fire off a weapon similar to the original Killer Whale, while 6 floating speakers move and attack on their own. The 6 floating megaphones move on their own and attack with lasers that chase enemies. For such a dusty place, the Splatlands are brimming with shiny tech. Ready for more special weapons? The version of an Inkopolis special weapon. The 6 floating megaphones move. Okay, we already read that. The second one showcased by Nintendo is the Big Bubbler. In the previous games, the Bubbler weapon acted as a protective shield bubble that protected players from all damage. The Big Bubbler is a bigger take on that, as the name implies. Unlike previous iterations, the Big Bubbler's shielding bubble is stationary and surrounds a lot more than just a single player. By making it fixed, the size has been greatly increased. It seems Inklings and the Splatlands think bigger is better. Well, this certainly does look useful for protecting one's allies. And okay, I'm about to say, I guess they can't. Let's see. Okay, Splatoon 3 weapon. Okay, so there's 2 more. These seems like, all right, so the first 2 we talked about are special weapons that who knows how you could unlock them or get them from the jump. These 2 seems like they're taking an already they were already part of the arsenal in previous games, and they're evolving them, so to speak. I personally like the Killer Whale 5.1. It's a play on words, plus it's like attacking with speakers that shoot lasers. Like that already has me intrigued.
Oh
for
yeah,
sure.
like that and the tank are like two cooler ones in my opinion. The ninja one, it's like, okay, you can traverse probably faster or whatever, which is okay.
Yeah.
And then you have like it looks like a shop vac. You know what I mean? Like the other one,
exactly.
the bubbler is like, I'm good. I'm
right.
good.
Like, I don't know if this is the one, Chief.
I'm good. Just, you can keep it over there, you know, I'll be fine.
Those are the ones, I guess, who want to play more defensively and don't want to get on the action or whatnot.
Yeah, you know. Yeah. But guys, now that we're done with the Nintendo news, we had one thing this week of Nintendo news. Let's get into what forever and will be the PlayStation news. Forspoken developers share more details about traversal, characters, and magic.
So, of course, Tokyo Game Show was going on last week. We talked about Microsoft's. Square Enix didn't really have much to report, but one of the things, that they did talk about was their Forspoken. Mm-hmm. Players got a much better understanding of what Forspoken is after the latest trailer during the PlayStation Showcase. And then we just learned even more about the game thanks to Tokyo Game Show, where developers Luminous Productions shared more details on the game's traversal, character, and the importance of magic. The game's co-director, Takafumi Terada, and creative producer, Ryo Mitsuno, spoke during the Square Enix Extended Showcase in regards to magic, saying, "Our goal was to allow players to learn a wide variety of spells. The game was designed to encourage players to experiment with various types of magic." What that magic exactly isn't clear. Specifically, with traversal, which the developers call magic parkour.
Parkour!
The travelers show... Parkour! The trailers show Frey launching herself across vast distances using the power of her companion Cuff, a bracelet that can talk and do all sorts of magic. Since the developers couldn't talk more about the role Cuff plays in the game, we'll have to wait to learn more. But since Cuff starts out on Frey's arm and is the source of her powers, it's probably fair to say Cuff is important. Just a little bit. Mm-hmm. We also know a little more about who you'll be fighting in the game. The Tantas, who we know are Athea's cruel rulers, but we still don't know how they came to power, where they came from, or who Tantasilla is. We see Frey fight Tantasilla briefly at the end of the trailer, but that's only one, and it's likely Frey will have to take on many more. So, not a lot. Mm-hmm. Small doses, but the biggest thing that I took away from this is like your Cuff companion. We saw him in the trailer. It's like the little talking magic item that you get. Obviously, I agree. It will play an important role. Yep. I think it'll help. I think he'll also play an important role, like with traversal, like with probably fast traveling or leaping great bounds, like mm-hmm. Superman. But I also think it'll play importance, because they said magic will be an importance in the game. I think Cuff will be helping you along with your magic development as well in some capacity.
Yeah, and I think having like a character that is from that universe instead of just Frey the whole time, like trying to figure it out, the fish out of water kind of deal, having, right. It's like, okay, this is, where your power is coming from. They're going to teach you about the world, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I think that helps a ton with, everything that's going on. So,
right.
I like it.
So we'll have to see. It comes out spring, like everything else. It comes out spring of next year, so we'll have to wait and see.
We have to wait.
But you don't know what we don't have to wait and see about.
What's that, Derek?
The PlayStation Now October Games editions have been revealed.
Oh, tell me.
So the biggest headliner is, of course, and it's only appropriate because it's spooky month, The Last of Us Part 2 is coming to PlayStation Now service. Is the latest blockbuster game, and if you're playing on PS5, you can download the Performance Patch 2, which that one is actually huge to me too. The game will be available until January 3rd, 2022. So you got a couple days into the new year, then it's gone, which I feel like is a short turnaround to have the game, but most of the exclusive has about that same like 4 month window. But that's not all. They're also going to bring out Fallout 76, Amnesia the Collection, Desperados 3, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, which is huge. I think it's been on there before, so that's probably like a re-return. Victor Vran Overkill Edition, and yet another Zombie Defense HD. All 7 games will be available from starting October 5th, which is already passed. So go ahead and get those in your rotation, guys.
Get on it. Daggone it.
So obviously the 2 biggest ones for me are going to be, Fallout 76 and Last of Us Part 2.
Yep.
Which is strange. Like, obviously, Fallout 76 came to both platforms way before the acquisition by Microsoft, but it's still weird to see, like, after they've been bought, like, oh, we'll still play nice with you, Sony.
Yeah, like, I'm glad that they are, even though, we're not gonna see some games on the PlayStation, but it's like, hey, we need somebody to play Fallout 76. We need somebody to play it, but I know that it's gotten a lot better since launch and everything. So,
Right.
Every time I hear this man's name, I'm like, please come back. Please come back for the love of everything good.
Maybe come back.
You can blame it all on me. Sean Layden doesn't think Sony will ever launch games on PlayStation and PC together. Talking about day in, day. Oh, right. I feel him.
Kind of like how Xbox exclusives comes day to Xbox and PC as well. Sean Layden, former head of PlayStation, hasn't worked at the company for a few years now, but that still hasn't stopped people from asking him consistently about his time there and what he thinks about the company's current direction. And in his most recent interview on the topic of PlayStation games coming to PC, he knows that's a big part of their future plans, but don't ever really expect a game to launch on PlayStation and PC on the same day. In a video interview with What's Up PlayStation, Layden spoke about the early talks he was a part of regarding what plans Sony has to bring games to PC. Quote, the idea of going to PC, and I don't think you'll ever see PlayStation do a day and date with PC, but never say never. But the strategy as we were developing it when I was there was that we need to go out to where these new customers are. These new fans could be. We need to go where they are because they've decided not to come to my house, so I've got to go to their house now. Though Layden isn't currently privy to their strategy now, it doesn't seem like much has changed from the original core idea, as Sony seems more than content to build up a portfolio of their top-selling games to PC for players to see what they're missing on PlayStation. So, I get where he's coming from. And of course, but there's 2 things. Like, I'm sure when he was there, it was part of their current strategy, and I'm sure there was a lot of talks when he was in the room that gave him this idea. However, I won't say vehemently, but I think I disagree with Sean's idea here. Like, maybe he's right.
Yeah.
Who knows? We'll have to see. But I think with the way Sony's, like, how they've been planning their strategy, all that we've talked about since we've started Nerd Cave News at the beginning of the year about what their ideas are, what they want their studios to do, their acquisitions, like acquiring Nixus for PC ports specifically. Yep. I think and now granted, who knows, maybe he still talks to some people who gives him some insider knowledge and he has to sign NDAs saying that he won't disclose this information whatsoever.
Yeah.
So maybe he's right. I think he's wrong though. I think at some point, maybe not now, maybe not next year, maybe not in 2 years from now, I think you will see at some point, whether it's a small indie title, small PlayStation studio that needs a leg up to get their name back in good graces, or a big game. But one day we'll get a day-to-day PlayStation exclusive with PC.
I agree 100%. I feel like, within 5 years, that is going to be the norm. 100%.
Yes.
Like we see it with Xbox, Game Pass, and all of that. Day and date, it's on both. And guess what?
Yeah, exactly.
They're selling way more. They're bringing it to more places and everything. So, like you said, it might have been the status quo when he was there, but I feel like that is soon to change. And I'm in a way it's sad, but in another way it's exciting because like we are getting more out of our games. And you can't deny that. It's great. It's great.
Like, and this is, I guess you can say this is a hot take. Like, granted, I love my exclusives. Like, I love only for the fact of it incentivizes my or justifies my purchase of said console, right? Like, I don't want to buy just a console and not have anything that I can
Mhm.
only not have anything I can't not play just on that console, you know?
Yeah.
But I think it's getting to a point where, you know, more games in more people's hands and more money in the developers' pockets is good if the game is good or great. I think it's coming now down to who is making the game rather than what console they're making the game for. I
Yeah.
think it's obviously we're far away from that being like the norm mindset,
Hmm.
but I think we're getting to that point and they're slowly adapting us to basically be like, oh, the coalition is making this game. You can play it on whatever console, but they're making this game. And or let's go with a more known quantity, Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog is making this game. It's not PlayStation exclusive anymore, but they're making this game, and we know what Naughty Dog's pedigree is: great narrative story
Yep.
adventure games. So it's going to be a point where we ooze over the fact of who is making the game rather than what the game is coming to.
Yeah, and I think that future is sooner rather than later. So,
Yeah.
I'm excited. Sean, he's out of the game, but I don't
Yeah.
think he's wrong in the near future, but I think down the road, the
Yeah.
never will become the norm.
I think a more apt comparison probably, and who knows, maybe this is for the near future rather than the norm, but I think a more apt comparison he would have made would be exclusives come day and date to PlayStation Now. You
Mm,
know, if they're trying to compete with Game Pass, I
yeah.
think that would be a more believable statement to agree with him that he said wouldn't if he says would never happen.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Moving on to our next topic in all of PlayStation news. We got some Blue Point
Right.
zaniness to talk about.
Here, let me just give the timeline of this because last week we talked about it happened right before our show last week, but Blue Point was officially acquired by Sony,
Mhm.
and it seems like now they can't stop talking. Like
Yeah.
they're too excited. They're too giddy about wanting their next projects to get out. So we started with the Demon Soul sales, and then that leads to an original project, but doesn't necessarily mean a new IP,
Mhm.
which led to the next day them saying that Blue Point reportedly has 2 games in the works, one of which is a remake of a beloved game, which leads to what Monday's article, which states that the rumored Blue Point's next project is a Bloodborne remaster or remake. So I think both of these are true.
Yeah.
I think they've got 2 projects in the works. One that's an original project that doesn't mean a new IP, and then another one's a remake of a beloved game because before Demon Souls remake, they said that their next remake after Shadow Colossus was a beloved project, which turned out to be Demon Souls,
Yeah.
which sold well. So, and for years now, even before rumors of Sony buying Blue Point were a thing, their name has been linked with a Bloodborne remaster, remake, what have you, for a while. Now, I think, and I want to get your opinion on this. I think it would be behooved to do more of a remaster because Demon Souls, it came out early 2000s, so it was time for a fresh coat of paint. Shadow of the Colossus came out in the early 2000s. It was time for a fresh coat of paint for a remake. Bloodborne's only been out since 2015, barely half a decade. I don't think it's time to do a fresh coat of paint on that yet. So I think a remaster is more apt for that if it's true.
For me, okay, like I know Blue Point is amazing at remasters and remakes and all of this, but I'm gonna go out on a limb here, Derek.
Okay,
they make the next Bloodborne instead.
Ooh. Because it did say an original project, which doesn't necessarily mean a new IP. I mean, Bloodborne 2 would be an original project,
Yeah, and
so
it's something that we've been wanting for a very long time with Bloodborne because we haven't got a new IP, a new entry into it.
Right.
And with them doing it Demon Souls, that it shows like, hey, we can do this type of gameplay. We can make this, so as long as they've got someone that had the story, then I think they would be fine with it.
And ironically, when Bloodborne came out, they did say it was a spiritual successor to Demon Souls. So
There you go.
coincidence?
There you go. So I would love to see that. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
I
How soon do you? I know they just put out Demon Souls, but do you think? Because I mean, if they've got two projects in the works, one of them's like a remake remaster. You don't, because Shadow of the Colossus came out 2018.
mhm.
So, and it was 2 years between. So, do you think next year, whether it's the end of next year or whether it's like E3 or whatever, do you think we see a tease of at least one of their projects next year?
Oh yeah.
Or do you think it's gonna? Or do you think they're gonna let it gestate for a little bit?
They're usually pretty like close to the chest, you know, and until
Yeah.
like they're ready to like watch the game, they don't like show a bunch of stuff. You know what I mean? Like they're kind of like,
Right.
hey, this is what we're doing. We're going to be, you know, launching the game in the next 6 months. That's just kind of how
Right.
they work. So I don't,
Yeah.
unless they've got, you know, a second team that's working on something, you know,
Yeah.
that could be definitely how they do it. And yeah, then we see something, but they're usually pretty good about just like going and, you know, putting it out pretty quickly to when they say, hey, we've been working on this game. So if we hear
Yeah.
anything, I think it's going to be closer than later. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So yeah, they do play it close to the vest, like you said. So, and that's true because we saw the Demon Souls remake with the PlayStation unveiling last year. So, and that was around June, and it came out November. So yeah, the timing, you're right on that. I forget when the Shadow of the Colossus reveal, because it came out in February of 18. So I forget when the reveal was officially made. So, but yeah, I think we'll probably see it maybe Game Awards or like maybe at a PlayStation Showcase in fall of next year.
Mm-hmm.
And then it'll come out early 2023.
Yeah. I feel you on that one. Before we move to the next one, I just want to address Murdoch's comment in the chat asking, did y'all see that New World is burning up video cards? I thought that was during the beta, but what I had been hearing is like it had been burning up video cards, graphic cards, especially during the loading menus, because the game did not have a cap on like how many frames it would render like in the game.
Wow.
So there were graphics cards rendering 9,000 frames per second. So like these high end 3090s were rendering 9,000 frames per second, and it just bricked these super expensive graphics cards.
So what you're saying is it broke the Scouter because it was over 9,000.
I think so. Derek, you're so quick-witted. Let's hit some PlayStation Quickies real quick.
Yeah. So to start off, according to Herman Holst, PlayStation isn't done with acquisitions. I mean, you know, just to throw this out here, Microsoft isn't done, Sony isn't done. What are you going to do, Nintendo? Are you going to add anything to you? Like, eventually, it's just going to lead to just those three owning everybody.
Oh yeah.
Sony begins testing free PS5 game trials, starting with Death Stranding Director's Cut and Sackboy: A Big Adventure. That starts soonish, if not already. Ghostbusters video game is works at Ilphonic. The only reason I put this in PlayStation Quickies instead of regular Quickies is because Sony does own the rights to Ghostbusters. So like Predator Hunting Grounds, this could be an exclusive. We'll have to wait and see. Sly Cooper franchise is reportedly making a comeback. Great to see.
Oh yeah.
And then this one, Zach, you know, I'm sorry to let you know, bud. But starting October 27th, you will no longer be able to use credit cards, PayPal, or add wallet funds for purchases on the PlayStation Store on your PS3 or Vita. However, though, you can still make purchases through the store through your PS5, PS4, PC, or mobile device. So if you wanted to buy a PS3 game digital, can't do it through the PS3 store, but you can go on any of those other ones like PS5, PS4, and buy the PS3 games through there. So not all is lost, but it's just another nail in the Vita's coffin.
You know, for me, Derek, there's this saying that, you know, what you try to kill only
doesn't die,
makes it stronger.
Mm.
You know, I know a man. I know a man that died and came back in 3 days, and he's better than ever. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm telling you right now, Jim Ryan, Herman Holst, and all you other people, Vita lives.
You heathens.
Vita lives, and me and Shuhei, and I'm bringing Gio Corsi. We coming for you. We coming for you. Leave my boy alone. Leave my boy alone. I just,
you know, if only Sony cared about the Vita as much as you would, it would have probably be up there with the Switch for handheld contender. You know?
Yeah. If only, if only, but you know, yeah, you can. I'm assuming you could do it. Yeah, you can do it on your PC. You can do it on the website and everything.
Yeah,
it's just they're closing down the functionality of like you being able to buy stuff from the Vita and the PlayStation 3. Doesn't mean you can't download stuff that you already own, but
yeah,
it's they're trying.
You just can't get new.
Yeah, they're trying to limit. They're trying to smother it. They're trying to smother it out.
You know, it's ironic because, you know, what was it? PS3, Vita, and PSP, I think it was. They were trying to shut down the networks earlier in the year. Then fans were outraged and bought a bunch of games off there to, you know,
sticking to the man,
create a new flow of cash. Yeah, exactly. And then they said, all right, still closing PSP, but Vita and PS3 will let go. But it's still now, it's like now, I guess now that they prevented it, people have not been buying as much, and they're like, all right, we're just going to slowly do little bit by little bit to ease them into this transition.
Yeah,
we couldn't take them kicking and screaming, so we'll be nice about it.
It's a sad day, guys. It's a sad day, but that doesn't mean the show ends here, guys. That doesn't mean the show ends here, because Derek, he's got to get to the speed bag right now. He's got to get warmed up. He's got a fight coming up, guys. So, Derek, why don't you take it away with them sweet, sweet quick hits?
So to start us off, the Game Awards is set for December 9th, so set your calendars. Get ready for some awesome game reveals as well as awards. Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origins releases on March 18th, making it an even more crowded spring. Following that, Final Fantasy 16 developer confirms, quote, expansive skill tree system for the game. Going into some Monster Hunter news, Monster Hunter Rise to get a Ghost and Goblins collab on October 29th, with a Sonic collab coming later. Following that, Monster Hunter Rise will come to Steam on January 12th and will feature 4K resolution graphics, an ultra-wide display option, and uncapped frame rates. Following that, no announcement has yet been made on Monster Hunter PC cross-save, but there's still hope. Rosario Dawson joins the cast of Dying Light 2 Stay Human, which was a random out there announcement, but good on her. Battlefield 2042 won't support mouse and keyboard for consoles at launch. Following that, it will have new-gen upgrades for Battlefield 2042 will be free with standard digital versions. So if you have the disc, I'm assuming they're leaving you out, but if you buy digital, they will give you a free upgrade to the new console versions. Konami, working on Metal Gear Solid, Silent Hill, and Castlevania games, with Metal Gear Solid rumored to be a remake of MGS3 Snake Eater, Silent Hill rumored to be multiple games, and Castlevania rumored to be a reimagining. So, a lot of things. Following that, rumor a Silent Hill game is in development at Kojima Productions. Following that, Metal Gear remasters are in the pipeline. In the previous one, it was a remake, but this one's are remasters. So, a lot of following that, Konami is inviting indie developers to making new games based on some of its classic series. So Konami's been making moves. They're trying to get back into the console space major time, and they're bringing back some of these dormant IP that we haven't seen entries into for a while. Next up, new Xbox stats page being tested and will be able to track game time. Accessible Games database helps locate accessible games to play. We talked about that accessibility at the top of the show. Now there's a website dedicated for those. The developers behind Sonic Mania are working on an original 3D platformer. Metroid Prime 3 Corruption may have been open world if the Wii was more powerful. Elden Ring is nearing completion, and there will be no errand quests planned for the game, which I'm fine with that because I hate just basic fetch quests.
Oh, yeah.
AMD expects PS5 and Series X chip shortages to ease in the second half of 2022. So it looks like there might be a light at the end of the tunnel. Rumor, Injustice 3 could be revealed during DC Fandom, which I believe is next Saturday, the 16th. Or next Saturday. Far Cry multiplayer spinoff potentially teased in Far Cry 6 via a QR code. Following that, yes, Far Cry 6 will have an early alternative ending, just like the last two have, had those early endings. Epic Games achievements will launch next week. Sora from Kingdom Hearts is in the final Smash Bros. DLC fighter, along with Splatoon and Doomslayer Mii Fighter costumes. Following that, Kingdom Hearts 3, 1.5 and 2.5 remix, and HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue announced for Switch and will only be available via the cloud. Fortnite Halloween event includes classic Universal Pictures monster outfits like Frankenstein and the Mummy. Apple, this one's interesting, Apple made more money on games than Xbox, Sony, Nintendo, and Activision combined in 2019. Capcom is planning to make PC its main platform in the coming years. Ubisoft is still hiring for Beyond Good and Evil 2, which means no release date is in sight. James Bond's Aston Martin Valhalla is out now in Rocket League. Halo Infinite Rockstar energy drinks to unlock cosmetics and double XP. So there you go, Zach, with your microtransactions. Pokemon Legends Arceus map looks less likely to be fully open world. Rockstar's agent has finally been removed from the developer's website. Randy Pitchford is stepping down as Gearbox Software president. EA reveals that the FIFA brand could drop, the name brand could be dropped in favor of a new name in the near future. And then finally, a weird one, Trolley giving away 20 gummy-themed Xbox Series S consoles.
Okay, so I'm going to go up on the ones I just highlighted and everything. Randy Pitchford stepping down as the head of Gearbox.
Mm-hmm. I know you've been calling for this for a while.
Yep. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to just give a thumbs up.
Now we just need Bobby Kotick.
Yeah, and a few other ones, but anyway, that one was a big one. Apple making more money than Xbox, Sony, Nintendo, and Activision combined is crazy, but the reason it's not is, okay, Apple, yes, they have like some developers that are like on their arcade and everything, but they get a percentage of everything that is sold on their app store. Literally everything. So if there's microtransactions in a game, that's the reason why you're not seeing Fortnite on the App Store now.
Yeah.
It's because Epic did not want to forfeit any of their profit to Apple. So they were trying to circumnavigate that. And Apple's like, they smacked them, and then they went through all this lawsuit. So it doesn't surprise me that Apple has made this much money, but it is crazy, especially when you include Activision in that.
Yeah, 100%. The kings of money making.
Oh yeah. And then the last thing I wanted to hit, Konami. Okay, I love Metal Gear. I love all the games that you listed: Metal Gear, Silent Hill, Castlevania. Great classic games. Played a ton of them. It feels a little too late. You know what I mean? They're like, oh crap, we're in a pickle here. We're in a pickle here.
Let's be relevant again. Let's show them why we're relevant.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, let's remake and remaster the old Metal Gears because we can't make a game the same way as Kojima.
Right. Exactly.
So, and if Kojima is in talks of making a Silent Hill, I feel like that's a little bit of a stretch, in my opinion.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. So the two questions I had for you about this was, do you believe that the rumor that he's working on a Silent Hill game is true? And then the other one is, how do you feel about you know, because they haven't really done remakes of any of the Metal Gear games, but how do you feel about 3 Snake Eater being the one that, like, one of their first ones to remake?
3 is really good, and technically 3 comes before all the other ones.
Okay, so it's like not Kingdom Hearts. What's that other series that has like disjointed time? Anyway, but okay, so it's the first in the original timeline.
Yeah.
Got you.
Canonically, it's the first before, because it would be 3 and then Peace Walker, and then Metal Gear Solid 1, Metal Gear Solid 2, and then you would go Phantom Pain.
Yeah,
and
gotcha.
Ground Zero,
okay,
and all that. So, yeah, it's stupid. It's absolutely stupid. Like the timeline. So, Zelda is another one that's stupid with its timeline.
That's the one I was thinking of, because Skyward Sword is the first one in the timeline technically. So
makes no blasted sense. So yeah, there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Nerd Cave News. Make sure, if you haven't already, hit subscribe, hit the follow button. You know, we'll
Capcom, the PC Master Race embraces you.
Make sure, guys, that you go find us on TikTok and follow us there for all the bite-sized news and shenanigans and all this cool stuff over there. TikTok, Nerd Cave Network, and go get you a 30-day free trial of Audible. audibletrial.com/nerdcave. I'll say it. There you go.
Which is great, because most trials only give you a week at best.
30 days, baby. 30 days. Dr. Deja Who enjoyed it tonight.
Oh, yeah. It was, I guess I wasn't as tired as I thought I'd be after work, because I brought some energy.
You brought the energy, man. You brought the thunder. The new look. We're fresh and so clean. Ain't nobody as dope as us.
No, not even Mr. Clean. Mr. Clean ain't got nothing on us.
Got nothing. Guys, we hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week. We love you. This has been Zach.
And Dr. Deja Who.
Y'all have a blessed week. Bye.